So, this Israeli Orthodox rabbi made comments recently in a Jewish newspaper, an Israeli Jewish newspaper, or a online news article. I forget the exact details, but let me assure you what I am about to relay on what he said is the truth. He stated that the Islamification of Europe is a good thing, and that we, as Europeans, deserve this for the treatment of his Jewish people in bygone centuries. So to this rabbi, I say this to him: if you think the Islamification of European countries, full of European people, who basically gave you the fucking country of Israel, is a good thing, I think you need to get the fuck out of Israel. Because saying such a thing about my people, countries that are inhabited by my people, in such a way, makes you deserving only of my fucking contempt. He needs to remember something. And people like him who think and speak along these lines. He needs to remember who helped his people, who put them where they are, who's bent over backwards, sacrificing a lot for them. So to say such things, especially at such a time of troubles in Europe with the so-called refugee crisis, which in my previous video, believe you me, I've gone over and explained just exactly what that crisis is, and to say that is a good thing. So for him to say that the Islamification of Europe, which in layman terms, I'll lay this out to you, what he really means is the genocide of Europeans is a good thing. Europeans aren't going to take that shit anymore. This isn't the 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, or the 1990s, when people felt a lot more sorry for the Israeli Jews, the Jews in general, and they were really understanding of their plight. There was an incredible sentiment against the Arabs and the Palestinians, and to us that still is. And, you know, they've got to remember something. The internet's happened. People learn a lot more about history. They learn a lot more about things that have taken place. And they're not all over one side now. Everything's more in the middle of seeing things without a bias. People see both sides of the story now, okay? And so for his comments to be made at such a time is incredibly hateful, it's incredibly twisted, and it's using sophistry against us. And for those that don't know what sophistry means, S-O-P-H-I-S-T-R-Y, it basically means using a false argument to try and win over someone. And that's what he's done. He's used a false argument. And his false argument for saying that the Islamification of Europe by Islam and Islamic people is a good thing because of what happened to some of his people in times gone by is sophistry. And he's using false argument. Yes, there were wrongs made. And yes, they made wrongs against us. See how this is now, people see both sides? This is what it is. Now let's go back in time a little bit. Israel, since its founding in 1948, the year of the rat, has been a very stalwart nation in surviving as long as it has against the hostile Arab nations who were waging their wars against them at certain times. And their survival has only partly been possible by their own skill at arms and prowess. The other part of what maintains their survival is Europeans in the United States of America and in Europe as well, providing them aid, providing them finance, providing them specialized military technologies, and more besides. So for an Israeli rabbi, and you don't get to be an Israeli rabbi by being a dummy, let me tell you, you've got to have a bit of a brain in your head. So for an Israeli rabbi to say such a thing right now is a very inflammatory remark that I wouldn't have expected to hear coming from them at this time. However, this isn't the first time I've heard such things from the nationalistic factions of Israel. There was a video on YouTube recently where there was chanting. And the chanting stated that it's good for Islam in European cities. They named various European cities, and they were saying it's good there, it's good in London, it's good in Paris, it's good in Milan, it's good in Berlin, and so on and so forth of this nature. And then they said, but it's not good in Israel. So that was another unsettling echo I've heard, and many other people have heard as well. So that's my video response to what's just been transpired. It's a real sad state of affairs that it's happened. I am well aware that there are Israeli nationalist people who do not hate Europeans. Okay, and this is where sometimes I take flack for it. I take a little bit of flack from certain nationalist folk who say, "Oh no, you shouldn't say that. You should, be critical." I'm sorry, guys. Yes, there are some Israeli people who are nationalistic, and they are nationalists like I am and like others are, and they are pro-European. They don't want. Some of them have stated, guys. They've said we do not want to see Europeans come to an end. We don't want to see Germany getting fucked over like it is right now. And for an Israeli Jew to be saying this is not light talk. Okay, so I am well aware of the guys. I've crossed swords with Jewish people online where I've made remarks of what I've said in this video regarding anti-European talk by their brethren, and I've taken some flack for it. They've said, they've bad-mouthed me, and I'm like, well, hey, I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying you guys need to start calling out your own people who are putting my people down. We support nation states and nation peoples, and that includes Israel. That includes Europe, fucking for sure. It includes Europe, of course, but it also includes Israel. They deserve their shot in the world. And this is why I say that when remarks like this are made by this fucking anti-white, anti-European rabbi, there needs to be some stick from his own side to keep him in line. Because if there's not, it makes it look like they're being complacent and they're supporting such talk, and they're actually complicit in such talk. And we don't want that. Or at least I don't want that, and most reasonable-minded alt-righters, national socialists, nationalists, yes, national socialists, nationalists, conservatives, libertarians, and all this sort of folk, and they will all pretty much agree. And getting back to my original points, if there is an Islamification of Europe, believe you me, if the Israelis and the Jews in general think that Europeans can be anti-Semitic, just wait till they see what an Islamified Europe could be like for them. Because I guarantee you, all those European nations with their European specialist military companies like Thales, like British Aerospace, like all these others that lend Israel a hand, they wouldn't, for a start, they wouldn't be getting any aid. And that's just for a start. Goodness knows what would happen to them if Islamification of Europe actually took place. But that's all I have to say. Europa Infinitus, and I'll see you on the next time.